Right. So basically, who's read the book or the example?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. All of them rules means that when you do stuff, you can invoke a skill, or you can invoke your stunt, or you can spend a fate point for a +2 on your roll. So all those fancy words, they all mean a +2. Okay.
Yeah.
So like Earl, one of your stunts dead shot, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you go, right, I'm invoking my stunt because I'm a dead shot, and then you get +2 to your attack roll for that roll. That's all that means. A condition is basically what would describe in a normal role-playing session, but then you can act on that. So in the example, right, you're busy fighting in a bar. Like Bracey says, I kick the table over. I go, okay. So then the table becomes an obstacle, and then I would drop that on there, and then call it kicked over table.
Right.
Okay. And then if you can think of a reason why that is an advantage, you can either spend a fate point to get a +2 from the table, or if you're the person that's kicked it over, you get what's called a free invoke, so you get an automatic +2 on a roll if you can justify having a kicked over table. So you say, right, there's a kicked over table, the guy pulls a gun and starts shooting, and Earl goes, right, I hide behind the table, so Earl will get a +2 on his defense roll because he's hiding behind the table. That's all a thing is. It's way easier than it actually sounds.
So if I turned a mango into a yo-yo and I used it to strangle someone to death, I would use a fate point to make it.
Yes.
Excellent. See, I know where this is going straight up.
Now, fate points are kind of like hero points in the James Bond role-playing game if you played them. You can spend a fate point to gain a +2 by like invoking an aspect or an advantage or whatever. Okay. And you can also use them to create a fact. So this is what's really worrying me. So you're robbing a bank. You just come running out the bank, and then Andy goes, wouldn't there be a parked car over the road that I could steal? Spends a fate point, and lo and behold, there's a parked car over the road that Andy can then steal. So
awesome.
Okay. So
that's what I do.
Yeah. This is not going to go horribly wrong. I just see Elle going like, you come out of the Houses of Parliament. Isn't there a building site nearby with a bulldozer? Oh. So it's basically a storytelling game. We tell the story together, even though I'm GMing. Everybody else kind of adds to the story. Right? you Now your fate points, the goal is to spend them a lot and get them a lot. You spend fate points for getting bonuses. To get fate points back, you take a negative consequence. So in your character, you'll have a trouble, or more than one trouble you can have. Okay, so I need to know what your troubles are with your characters. Okay, so for instance, if you have a rival, or if you have, I think Bracey's got never leave a friend behind, or something like that. Isn't that correct? Never leave a friend behind or an enemy alive. Right, so basically, you're running away, Earl stumbles and falls over. He shouts, just leave us, because otherwise we'll all get captured. Then I can say to Bracey, right, well, I'm going to compel you to go back and help Earl, even though you know you're going to get captured. You can either accept that compel and get a free fate point, or you can buy it off with one of your fate points, because that's one of the definitions of your character. So I know we're used to in other games having narrowly defined advantages and disadvantages, but the more broad it is, again, if you can justify it, you can use it in the story. You know what I mean?
I have no troubles. I need troubles.
You need some troubles. You can roll a trouble, or you can come up with a trouble. In the rollable tables, there is dependencies, which is taken out of the Luther Arkwright book. So they are common dependencies for agents, because you're all a little bit psychic, because that's how you get recruited to be an agent. It's a bit like the Force. But unfortunately, because you're a little bit psychic, you all tend to be a little bit mad as well. So you can roll a table, or you can come up with something.
Would that be like me when I said I am a proud Scotsman? It's like anybody taking the piss out of Scotland, even if I think it's implied, will set me off.
Yes, that's called a self-compel. So basically, you can see at the top of the screen, there's two, and that's what's called scenario. That's the scenario aspects. Okay, anybody like me, you, or anybody can invoke an aspect, and if it's related to that, then obviously it affects you by fate points or whatever. Okay.
So where do I put them?
Where do you put what?
Me troubles.
In your character sheet, it should be under. It should be a second aspect.
So another aspect, because I've got aspects, human resources, objects are most important. I think objectives are most important. Persuade others to work. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you added an aspect as a trouble. So, so that's one way to get fate points, is by doing compels, or you can do self compels. So you can go, for instance, Andy could be in a pub, and like fishing for a fate point. He could go, well, it would be terribly unfortunate if somebody knocked me pint over now, the Liverpoolian guy, and goes, "Oh, you stupid Scotsman." Do you know what I mean? And then I would hand him a fate point, and then obviously that would start a fight off, or something like that. So
no, it would.
So you can do self compels. So it's kind of, like I said, we're all telling the story together, rather than normally I go, right, this is what happens, you just roll. And I think we'll figure it out as we're going along, but that's basically the system. So you've got different types. As long as you remember, anything is worth a +2. So what you get a temporary one, which is called a boost. Okay, so if I drop a boost on Earl, if you make a roll by more than 3, by 3 more than you needed to, then it's called an exceptional success, and you get a free boost, which is a +2 on your next roll, as long as you're doing something related. So if you stab somebody in the eye, and you get an exceptional success, you then get a boost for stabbing people. So if you continue to stab people, you'll get a +2 on the next roll, and then if you roll an exceptional success again, you get another boost, and so forth and so forth. It's kind of like when Thanos is beating on Captain America's shield, and the more he hits him, the more his shield gets broken. It's kind of like that. So you've got boosts, you've got aspect creature, aspect location. Location's the table. Aspect creature. The example in the book is right. You're in a house surrounded by zombies, and you can go, right, well, we know zombies are slow, so I'll get a +2 on my roll to run past them. That's a creature aspect. And that's pretty much it. We'll figure it out as we go along. I mean, we'll probably make a complete pig's ear of it the first couple of times, but
I need flaws, and I can't think of any. Anyone think of interesting?
Like I said, you can roll a few if you want. That's why I made the rollable tables.
I can't find the rollable table.
Right. You've got journal in the top, yeah, where your journal is. The one to the left of the My Settings button. Click on that.
Collection. Oh, rollable tables.
Rollable tables.
I think people will have to go in and set their game settings so they're not transmitting in Old Men and Discord again.
Am I transmitting in there as well?
No.
I'm getting a double leg off on you.
From Earl?
Yeah.
No, I'm getting the same from Bracey.
Yeah, I am as well. You just have to mute yourself. Well, you have to mute yourself in what you call it. No.
Yeah, go into your settings and scroll down the bottom where it says I want to receive from others nothing, and then I want to broadcast to others set to nothing.
So it's dependencies, isn't it? Or
Yeah.
background events?
Dependencies, yeah.
Alcohol.
Like I said,
I'm an alcoholic.
I copied all of the tables out of the source book directly, but you can, because it's fate, you can roll a few times, get an idea of something you want to do.
All right.
Or if you like one, you can pick it. And the other thing is, it's not so much about stuff. You at the end of the adventure, you get skill increases and fate point increases and things like that, but you don't really get like a +1 sword or whatever. Right. The other thing is, do you have in a bar at the bottom of the screen a little box marked "Roll the Bones"?
Not that I can say. Hang on.
Because I did make right. So go to your character sheet. Yeah, and go along to attributes and abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have one that says "Roll the Bones." Is that correct? Because I added them from my end.
Nope, that is not there.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
You can say it, Brady.
Oh yes, I've got.
And as it say, shows token action and shows macro bar, you tick them both.
Right, tick them both.
Right, and then if you've got your token selected, it'll appear on your token bar. But you should, in the bottom left-hand corner, should have a little box pops up that says "Roll the Bones." Is that correct?
Yep.
Nice roll in there, Bracey.
So wait a minute. Tell us where to go again. Attributes and abilities. Yeah.
I am just checking that I've added yours, Earl. Just bear with me a second. Earl Ronald Swindle Jones. Good. All right, I didn't add yours. That's why.
So
give me a sec. I'll make you a macro.
Right. Do I add these? Where do I put down my dependencies? Under aspects.
Yeah. Right, Earl. You should have a roll the bones macro now. I'll just make sure everybody's got one. Dave, do you have one?
I don't know if Dave can talk because I haven't heard him yet.
I heard him initially.
Hello?
Hello, Dave.
Yay!
Only seems to work if I'm on the Discord page, but not on the Roll20.
That's weird.
That is weird because it's working fine for everybody else. Right, you're gonna have to. Have you got 2 monitors by any chance? Dave, have you got 2 monitors?
No.
Right, you don't really need to be looking at the screen 100%. It's not a battle map as such, like in RuneQuest. So you're gonna have to either like alt tab between them or like put them half and half on the screen, maybe. But you definitely should be able to send in, even though it's open, because everybody else is doing it. Right, how to roll the dice. Those 4 dice that you see on the desktop are literally the only dice you ever use. Okay, you roll the dice and you add your aspect. So, like, if Bracey wants to kick a door in, he would roll the dice and add forcefully because he's forcefully trying to kick the door in. Okay, and that ladder that's on the left-hand side of the screen, that is literally the whole skill game. Like, an average task is a difficulty 0, somewhat challenging task is 2, and a hard task is 4. They're the normal ones. You might get higher difficulties. It is possible, but they're the ones you'll probably be shooting for. If you're fighting with somebody, you do an opposed test. So I roll the dice and add their bonus, you roll the dice and add your bonus. The difference between them is called a shift, and that's how much damage you will be taking. Now, if you get hit once, you're down, but you can mitigate the shifts by putting them on your character sheet. So if you open your character sheet, I will open up Sherlock Holmes. Okay, go to the character sheet at the bottom. You'll see stress. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. 1, 2, and 3. Stress is like bruises, bloody nose, that kind of thing. Each box absorbs how many shifts that the number says. So the first box will absorb 1, second box will absorb 2, and the third box will absorb 3. So if Earl gets punched really hard for three shifts, he has to tick the 3 box. Okay. If he only gets punched for 2, he can tick either the 2 or the 3 box. Once all those 3 boxes are gone, the next time you get hit, you're taken out. In this game, you decide whether you kill somebody or whether you just knock them out. There's no automatic killing. The other thing is consequences, okay? Because you don't get a lot of stress. Stress literally is just like hit points. You tick them off until you run out. A consequence, you've got 3 consequences. You've got a 2, a 4, and a 6. That's how much damage they absorb. But the 2 lasts till the end of the scenario. The 4 lasts to the end of the next adventure, and a 6 lasts for like most of the campaign. So if Earl gets hit for 6 shifts of damage, he can't take it as stress because it's too much. He has to take a 6-point consequence. So that would be something like broken leg. Okay, so he's got a consequence, he absorbs that. He's not taking out the fight, but he now has a broken leg, and that'll obviously that acts as a modifier. Now it'll make no difference to him at all unless I invoke again the aspect for a +2. So if he's fighting with a guy, he's got a broken leg, I'll go, right, as the guy spends a fate point, he invokes Earl's aspect of a broken leg, he punches you in the broken leg, he gets +2 to his attack roll because obviously you're in pain. So that's all the consequences. Okay?
Ah, right, okay.
So like a minor consequence is a 2-point shift. So if you take 2 points and your 3 box and your 2 boxes already filled up, you have to take a 2-point consequence. It could be something like sprained wrist, black eye, something minor.
Right.
But literally any modifier gives you a +2 on whatever roll you're trying to do. So that's how hit points work. Again, sounds really complicated and it reads even more complicated.
In reality, it's just...
In reality, everything gives you a +2. It's just how you use it. It more or less works out that if you can justify it, then you can have a +2. Is the long and short of it. And it literally, that ladder works for everything. So if you had a car, you would have a car with the 6 ratings again. So if it was a fast car, it would have 3 in speed. If it was a well-built car, it would have 3 in thing, and you just roll everything. Spaceships, exactly the same. You have the same stats for everything in the game. The only difference is you have, which is in another set of rules, but I'm using for these. So for instance, if you have a dragon, it's like a legendary being, so that might have an automatic level of 3, which means it automatically has 3 shifts in its favour. So if you're all fighting a dragon and it takes a swipe at you, you roll, and however many shifts you get, it would automatically add 3 because of its size. Or you would automatically subtract 3. And again, gear is not something that you really worry about. It's usually treated as an advantage, a temporary advantage. That's why I've got all these daft little tokens. So say Bracey's like using, Bracey grabs hold of an M60 because it's Bracey, okay? If you're shooting normally at somebody, you're doing no more damage than Andy's doing with his Walther PPK. But then Bracey, you can go, right, I'm going to use a fate point and I'm going to invoke full auto with the M60. You would get a +2, right? Because you've, so it's basically, if you can justify something, you get a +2 on it. That's what the system works. You all start with 3 fate points. I've told you how we go backwards and forwards with fate points. If you've got less than 3 fate points at the end of this, an adventure, or the end of the night, when we start playing the next night, it goes up to 3. If you've got more than that, if you manage to save up by just pure being, having dumb luck or whatever, then you keep your higher level. So you might have 5, 6, whatever. And when we start a scene, I get 1 fate point to use with NPCs for every player character there is. So I'll start with 4 fate points because there's 4 of you. I think that is everything.
Sounds like a plan, Stan.
Should be interesting.
It's certainly different, and like I said, we'll probably just have to get used to it more than anything else. You know what I mean?
Set it on fire and smash it with a hammer.
I set it on fire, see what happens. Like literally, there's 3 pages at the end, which is like aspects, invoke, there's different actions, overcome, character aspects, situation, and it reads like Chinese washing machine manual instructions. But all of that means is if you can
just me then.
Yeah, or
I thought that
if you can invoke something, you get a +2 on it. That's what all of those rules means. Okay, an overcome action is, right, Andy, you go to pick the lock on a sports car. It's got a really good electronic lock, so it has a difficulty of 5. You will go, right, I'm going to try and pick the lock. In game terms, that is, you're using an overcome action. I don't know why they needed to state that that's an overcome action, because you just say to me, I'll try and pick the lock, I'll go, fine, it's difficulty 5. Boom.
and then I can use that thing I've got to get me bonus because I'm good at picking locks.
Yes, you can. Your stunt you get to use usually once for free, or there's a certain type of stunt you get, like if you're a swashbuckler, you might get it every time you're fighting one person one-on-one in a sword duel using a one-handed weapon. So you can either get a specific one you can use multiple times, or you get a generalized one that you can just fire off once a session. Yeah, so all of those rules you read, Andy, all of those just mean is if you can invoke it, you get a +2 on your roll. Okay.
Right.
Also, if you balled your roll up, you can spend a fate point for either the +2 that you would have thingy, or you can do a re-roll. Generally, it's only mathematically worth it if you roll -2s or -1s. Then you spend a fate point and you can get a re-roll.
Aye, just the same as the Bond hero points.
Yes.
Played an awful lot of that in my youth.
I love that game. I've always wanted to play it.
Well, if I can find me books, that would run some.
I have all of the books somewhere.
I've got them as PDFs, Andy. I think I sent you them, didn't I?
You might do. I don't know. I'll have a look.
Just don't let Andy roll twice for your bloody perception roll, because he'll stab you in the back.
Yeah, it absolutely will.
Remember that one, Andy?
I do indeed, yes. I remember that only too well.
Right, so we'll struggle, basically. We'll muddle through until we get used to it. I've watched a few videos of people playing Fate, and to be honest, they don't do a lot of dice rolling, to be fair. But we don't do a lot of dice rolling in RuneQuest either, so...
No, don't give chance a way to get involved in your games. That's something that always ends bad. Always rely on idiocy.
The reason why I seem to be only able to talk on this, what you call it, is I need an app installed to I tried doing it and it says won't install.
All right, so you're using a web version of Discord. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out at a later date. we'll help you. I'll help you. Ryan will help you. Whatever. We'll go sort it out, Dave. You'll just have to muddle on for the time being, or you can install the app on your phone. I think Andy uses it on his iPad to do the talking.
I've got Discord on my iPad.
So I think. So if there's any last minute changes you want to make to your aspects and whatever, like I said, you get. Oh, sorry. Did I tell you you can gain a fate point by it's what's called. Basically, you surrender a scene. So, like, you're having a gunfight with a bunch of guys trying to get the idol, and you're getting beaten, and you just go, all right, we let them have the idol and we run away, right? Because you've surrendered the scene to me, you would all get a fate point. So it's bizarrely the more you're losing, the more fate points you've got, so that you can do better. It's kind of like an up and down thing.
It's interesting.
My brain's starting to hurt.
Yeah.
I think I'm sure we used.
I think we should basically stop talking about it and just start playing it, and then we'll figure the rules out as we go along.
Exactly.
Okay. So, is there any more changes you want to make to your characters, or do you want to make them at the end of adventure? You can change your aspects and rename them and things like that if you figure something out better. So.
No, I'm fine.
Right. Okay. And are you familiar with the Luther Arkwright game, Andy? Did you watch it to find out what happened to the original one?
Yes, I did. I did watch it. It's a while ago, but I did watch it.
Right. Dave, did you watch the Luther Arkwright one?
No, I don't know what it is. Yeah,
on the YouTube channel, there's Luther Arkwright backdoor pilot. It's called Old Man Pay RuneQuest Luther Arkwright backdoor pilot. It was the first test game we had, and it basically has the background story. We're following on from that. Right, so I'm going to change this and we'll start the proper game.